welcome to La Bolla, which is Pete and Sally's project in Puglia, near San Michele Salentino. It's a lamia, which is the traditional farmhouse set in 4 acres of land, and I bought it 16 years ago as a family destination, like a holiday home. And our plan now is to completely renovate the house, take the house off grid if we possibly can, using all of this wonderful sunshine to power everything, and to convert the land into a biodiverse Mediterranean dry gardening project with lots of different plants, some of which obviously are native, but others which come from places like France and anywhere else that Mediterranean gardening is popular. So I'm going to talk you through how we've broken up the project for our own purposes, really, to try and help us to prioritise and focus. So to start off, I'm going to show you where Zone 1 is on that map, and that is the front of the land. So you've got the road here, which is only a country road in Contrada Cottogni. It's very quiet. We maybe get 2, maximum 3 cars or vehicles along this road a day. That includes the Ape, which is the mini vans that the Italians use, translated into B, which is quite funny. They can't go fast, and you've usually got a very skinny little man with a very fat mama sat next to him. Or a very skinny man sat in the middle of his Ape, enjoying all the space. So, and Zone 1, what our plan is to do here is to try and make it multi-purpose. So one is to give us some privacy, but the other one is as a deterrent to stop people feeling that they can access the land from the road. So at the moment you can see it's completely open. Anyone could drive on to our land and get close to the house, which we don't want to have happen. So we're going to create mini rock piles every 1.5 meters, and in between that I'm going to put free-flowing bushes and shrubs so that it looks a bit like a hedge, but it's not a joined up hedge. And in the rock piles I can grow loads of different Mediterranean drought tolerant plants, which will spread beautifully over the rocks and enjoy the drought conditions that we have here over the probably 5 months of summer. So that will go along both sides. It's about 100 meters in width, the whole of the front of the land. So it's quite a big project for us, and that is Zone 1 coming into the entrance of the property. The other thing that you can note while you're here is there's a sign there with a big arrow pointing downwards, and that is where there's a gas line. And the other one is, you can see it on the other edge of our land, all the way over there, past that olive tree. So between those 2 points, we're not supposed to dig down at all within 14 meters of that line. And they spotted us trying to do a parking spot here and quickly told us that we weren't able to do that. So we had to change our plans. Interestingly, the Geometra probably should have spotted that before the gas people came out to tell us, but there you go. So just so you can know where our land stops and starts, see the very big olive tree there on the end? That, just beyond that is where it's neighbours with our neighbouring, who looks after his land really well. You can see that from here, but there isn't a demarcation there. But on this side we've got a huge pylon post separating ourselves and our neighbour's land on the other side. So it's about 100 metres across. So let me take you in to what is Zone 2. Now Zone 2, the idea of Zone 2 is that we have some parking space for anyone that comes to visit, that they can park outside and come in through the gates, or if a motorhome wants to stop for an overnight on their way somewhere, then it's very amenable for that as well, and we'd invite people to do that for a small fee, cash in hand, as it were. So, but for Zone 2 purpose.
Mezzo placeva, mezzo contento.
Yeah, and maybe buy some oil and maybe buy some chutney, homemade chutney, etc., etc. But Zone 2 is an area where I want the plants to look nice. because people may be stopping over for the night. So maybe some aromatic plants like rosemary and lavender, but mixed up with some really nice dry Mediterranean flowering shrubs and plants as well. So I've got all of this space here, which is quite a lot of space. And I'm going to use the 1.5 metres all the way along the outside of the wall as well. And we may well do something along the edge of the parking space, but to just break it up from where the land starts. But that's essentially zone 2. If there's anything that I can do along this other side, then I will. But to be honest, until the builders have finished their work on the surfacing of this, there's not a lot of point me planning too much, because I don't know where things are going to stop and start necessarily. So this is the view that a motorhome would have if they came, and you'd be looking down the land, and it's a lovely view. I mean, it's an agricultural area. We are in farming country in Italy, and it's mainly olives and almonds, but our plan is to put a lot more fruit trees, and pistachio nuts and pomegranates and apricots and peaches and a few more fig trees. At the moment, what we have is 120 olive trees altogether. 45 of them are of a species Cellina di Nardo, which these are the big ones, the Cellina di Nardo. And then we have about 75 smaller olive trees, which are called a mixture apparently. One we don't know at all, but the other two are Cortina and Leccina. And what we do know is that those oils are pretty expensive when they're sold in the open market. So we're lucky with the types of olives that we have. Our priority with the olive trees, you can see some brown patches, and where Pete has tried to bring the tree height down, that's because of Xylella. And Xylella is a disease that's rampaging through the southern Italian heel, and going up. Well, we're on the sort of borderline between Salento, where it's really, really bad. Anywhere south of here is dreadful. And then anywhere north, it's better. So we're hopeful that we might be able to knock it dead, but we've definitely got some Xylella in these trees. And we've already lost a number of cherry trees and almond trees to it as well. So the other idiosyncrasy, if I may put it like that, about Italian planning permission, and this has been quite a journey for us, is that we've seen a lot of walls around the countryside that are beautiful walls, but what they have is bottles sticking out of them, a mixture of bottles, glass bottles, plastic bottles, all kinds of bottles. And we're like, what on earth are these bottles doing in the walls? And it wasn't until we came to do our bottles in the walls that we found out that they won't give planning permission for a wall with fencing on it. But because the maximum height you can get permission for any wall is about 1 metre, which is low enough for somebody to hop over and still it's not secure enough, what they allow people to do is make the holes so they can stick the posts in for the fencing, and they acknowledge that that's what's going to happen after they got the planning permission. And in the meantime, they stick bottles in it to stop the water ingressing into the wall. But it's the most bizarre situations. They all know that everyone's going to stick a fence on it afterwards when they give the planning permission, but they won't give the planning permission if you've got the fence on. So it's the most bizarre arrangement, really. And there's a few little idiosyncrasies like that about Italian planning. Thanks for making it to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, do give us a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, put them in the box below and we'll get back to you. And we'd love it if you subscribed and came with us on our journey at La Bolla. Thank you.